following song is based on a true story. Real shit, you know what I mean? I want everybody that's got a laptop or some type of internet access, whether it's a cell phone or iPad, to go Google or get on Wikipedia and type in the name George Stinney, so y'all can follow me with the facts on this joint. Give y'all a little history lesson on the type of stuff that goes down where I'm from, cause they ain't always sweet. So I'ma let y'all know how this go work. I'ma spit the first verse, give you some background about the story. Then in the next verse, I'ma let George tell you what he lived through from behind his eyes. Alright? Follow me. Stories of injustice, now I done heard many, but none closer to home than George Stinney. George Stinney. Stories of injustice, I know I heard plenty, but none closer to home than George Stinney. George Stinney. Stories of injustice, I probably heard 20, but none closer to home than George Stinney. George Stinney. Stories of injustice, I've heard too many, but none closer to home than George Stinney. George Stinney. The birthday of Tupac Shakur, 1944, the youngest person executed that America saw. Double murder was the suspicion that led to such a decision, to sentence him to death with no option for life in prison. The Senate, my hometown in Alcaloo to be exact, where whites and blacks were separated by the railroad tracks. One day, two white girls, ages 8 and 11, were riding bikes looking for flowers on their stairway to heaven. But the only thing that they found with their bodies stuffed in the ground is Jim Crow, South Carolina, so somebody had to go down. But such a shame in how they came to point that finger of blame, when no evidence they framed the boy in which this song is named, George Stinney. My thoughts on the subject are pretty penny. In fact, I'm convinced the spirit of George lives within me. As I narrate this story for you live from the cave, I bring the spirit of George Stinney alive from the grave. Stories of injustice, now I done heard many, but none closer to home than George Stinney. George Stinney. Stories of injustice, I know I heard plenty, but none closer to home than George Stinney. George Stinney. Stories of injustice, I probably heard 20, but none closer to home than George Stinney. George Stinney. Stories of injustice, I've heard too many, but none closer to home than George Stinney. George Stinney. Nobody down here was saints, it was more than a couple bounties, but these the type of things was going on up in Clarendon County. Bitch raised up around big boys, I mean more than a couple counties. There was a little twig boy still couldn't keep trouble from around me. I'll never forget that day when they say when that they had found me guilty of double murder, false accusations astounding. Evacuated my family, racist accusers around me, searching for faith in God. My heart was ruthlessly pounding. I was scared, nervous, and crying, had no choice to admit it. They even tried to give me ice cream to tell them I did it. When I wouldn't budge, they roughed me up to teach me a lesson, and they used words I never spoke. Man, what a joke, a confession was never even recorded, and still my lawyer ignored it. Didn't even ask for an appeal, say that we couldn't afford it. Now just imagine how I felt when I was being extorted. Really hopes of heaven was how my hell on earth was rewarded. Never imagined the day would come I have to sit on the Bible to fit the electric chair. Don't ask me why I shit on the Bible. Under 3 hours to deliberate, so much for a trial. 14 in South Carolina, so much for a child. A fool could do the math on this case, it's really not advanced. A black defendant plus an all-white jury equals no chance. I guess spending my days in jail wasn't a resort. Memories haunt me that day they had me up in that court. I couldn't understand a thing, you see words was getting advanced now. I rose my hand and asked, they say nigga just put your hands down. Shortly after jury came back, said it was hands down, and spoke the words that probably make you wish you pulled your pants down. The only thing I could think was it was in God's hands now. Fuck if he's a child. The last words I heard before we ran out, man that shit was wild, but those were the things that stand out. A lot I can't remember, tell the truth, it's all a blur now. You're now in a position since I done gave you permission to tell my story, make them listen, hear me? Sure, wow. See, things will never change until the truth is embraced. I know it's strange, I got convicted with no proof in my case, but in this world you live in, these are the things you must face. Learn from history's mistakes, or else your life is a waste. People only remember me cause it was such a disgrace, but one of many men whose life would end because of his race. But not a race to a finish line on June 16th. Shed so many tears, but life goes on until the end of time. Some would just see those as quotes, but please listen and take notes. There's no justice without hope, hard to cope. Everything in life is a plan, but how much is really a plot? Why didn't I get a chance? They never gave me a shot. For justice was all I asked, for justice I never got. Just a little, not a whole lot. For George Stinney, stories of injustice, now I done heard many, but none closer to home than George Stinney. George Stinney. Stories of injustice, I know I heard plenty, but none closer to home than George Stinney. George Stinney. Stories of injustice, I probably heard 20, but none closer to home than George Stinney. George Stinney. Stories of injustice, I've heard too many, but none closer to home than George Stinney. George Stinney. Real life music, y'all.